All right, I'm going to show you how I set up my GoPros when I'm playing hockey, how I record stuff. If I'm going to use the helmet cam, I don't really use that a whole ton, but from behind the net is very helpful in general. One thing I'd like to note is that you don't really need a super fancy GoPro to improve your game. You can use any GoPro that's working, and I at least recommend one that has a replaceable battery. I have a Session 4 that's been unused for a very long time that still works during the G6 review. But from a future-proofing standpoint, if you can replace the battery and it's functioning, you can at least add some longevity there. So I'm gonna go over how I do the helmet cam and the behind the net cam. If there's a net free at the rink here, I'll do that as well. So for me to do a helmet cam, what I typically do is I take the vented helmet strap and I'd run it through the cage itself, run it through here, and then you loop it back in through here on both sides, nice and snug. It's not that debilitating as far as your vision goes, but you'll notice the weight on the front of your helmet. So the one thing you want to do is make sure you tighten up your straps a little bit. That's going to improve how the helmet feels on your head, because it might not feel like that much when you first put it on, but when your head's turning back and forth and there's the momentum of the extra weight sticking out so far on your head, you're definitely going to notice that. So you bring them out to the cage. You'll notice a bit, and you're not going to want to clip these. You can kind of wrap them around towards the back if those are getting to you. But yeah, in and around here, there's a little hole right here. Just loop it through there, back out, and you'll have something good mounted here. And that's works quite well for me. And then for the standard GoPro suction cup mounts, I just use these. There's older ones that kind of have longer pieces that stick out that might take an adapter or two more. But honestly, with this one, you just gotta push it up against the glass. And then you pull that up and it's locked in. Once it's locked in, you can kind of move it back and forth. But I actually have that straight behind the net. With these newer GoPros, you can see that you're lined up, but if you're in wide or super view, you're gonna be able to do this and capture everything behind you just fine. So yeah, that's gonna be fine. Like I'm pulling on this hard. They can actually take a fair amount of beating. I've never had one break when it's behind me. That's not to say it can't, but yeah, I trust it behind there. If you can't do it like this, obviously flip the camera around and put it behind the glass. I know some leagues don't want these out there, so it's another option, but then you run the risk of someone walking behind the net and taking it. I feel like that's very bold to do if you're just playing, you know, like you're gonna be sitting, you'll see them or someone will see them trying to steal your GoPro. So a couple options there. I know some people do it outside of the rink. I do it inside because I can get away with it. All right, so how I do these net cams is I use the same vented helmet strap, and we're kind of lacing it through exactly the same. We're going through here. You want to go kind of further in to make sure you get a good grip. Tighten them up on both sides, and then you should be good. Every once in a while, these will pivot, the pad and the net, but you can check on that. But most of the time, it's actually going to resettle itself. And when you have a wide enough setting, it's not going to matter. It's dead center of the net. Most goals don't happen there, so I'm not really worried about that. But yeah, that should do for you. So another thing to consider is when you're setting your camera up in these different positions, what your GoPro's settings are. If you're a goalie, if you're a defensive coach, if you just kind of want to see how the game plays out more detailed behind the net or in the corners, that's all going to play a role in which settings you're going to choose. If you're behind the net and you're just a goalie, you just want to see your footwork and what's kind of going on red line forward, linear in an NHL-sized rink is typically going to do the job. If you're in an Olympic-sized sheet, you might even want to go in further, but linear, standard wide is going to be okay. Obviously, if you're a D coach or you care about what's going on in the zone, you widen that up a bit. You can maybe see a little bit what's going on in the corners. When you're in the net, when you have the camera in the net, or if you have the camera on your helmet, you want to make it wide. You want to make it wide because, I mean, obviously you want to see everything in the net. You want to see the whole net. And then also when it comes to the helmet cam, It's cool to kind of see your hands in there. It gives it kind of a more dynamic action. If you set it wrong, like say the puck hits your head or like something gets jostled, the wideness of the lens makes it more forgiving. And then you don't have like a full session down the toilet. So what I would do is kind of, with a helmet cam, I would actually kind of point the camera down a little bit more, because what you're going to end up seeing is more of the action. Maybe you're like your feet when you're looking down and tracking pucks into your body versus the ceiling. No one cares about the ceiling when you're playing hockey or the helmet cam. So a little bit downward point is always going to go a long way when you're setting it up on your helmet. Yeah, if you have any other questions at all and how I set these up, what settings I use, which equipment I'm using, let me know in the comments, and hopefully this was a good help to you. Like, subscribe, all that jazz. All right, bye.